Hi and welcome to Razz Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. I wish it was 1986 because I was born in 1986 and that would have been cool, but it's not. Set in the backdrop of the 80s and the Cold War, it follows the story of Diana and her long-lost love Steve as they are reunited and they fight against Lord Maxwell and Cheetah. Regardless of what this movie is, I've been super excited to see it because I really liked the first Wonder Woman movie, but also because I've missed movies in the cinema. Finally, we have a superhero movie with this insane drought we've been living in. I don't know what people are talking about, superhero fatigue, schmatigue. I don't have any of that. Give me them superheroes. Give it. Now, as for the movie itself, I'd have to say that it is a little uneven. Some parts of this movie were actually great, and other parts didn't really work that well. So overall, it's kind of a bumpy but super fun ride. One of the best things about this movie is that it has a lot of heart. It kind of reminds me of the Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve Superman movies in the 80s with all this like hopefulness and optimism of the time period. And it comes back here and sometimes it's really nice, sometimes it doesn't really work. I mean, for me personally, I was never a big fan of the old Superman movies. If you're a fan of those films, you would probably love this aspect of the movie. But overall, it had a lot of heart. They really try to get you with them feels. And there are a lot of feels to be had. A lot of that heart is actually coming from the relationship of Steve and Diana. Their chemistry is really nice and their story is actually pretty sweet. I love how they brought him back. I'm not gonna spoil how that happens. I was very afraid it's gonna be like, oh, really? They're gonna bring him back? I don't like it when people sort of backtrack story elements that were heartbreaking and a big deal, because when you backtrack them and bring back the character, you kind of undermine what happened before. But in this movie, they made it work, so I was very happy with that. And I really liked the reversal of him being the fish out of water, trying to adjust to life in the 80s, kind of like flipping it on when she was in the original film, the person who's coming into the modern world. Another thing that I enjoyed was actually Gal Gadot's performance. This is the best she's ever been as Wonder Woman, and she managed to sell a lot of the emotional scenes. She showed us some vulnerable moments from Diana that we haven't seen before, and it kind of caught me by surprise, and it was a pleasant surprise. Somebody has been taking acting lessons, and they worked. Well done. And speaking of performance, Pedro Pascal has fun in this role. He's completely over the top, completely 80s, and I loved every second of it. He chews up the scenes like nom 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 nom. So I really liked him as Lord Maxwell. I really enjoyed his story and I enjoyed his performance, and I enjoyed his enjoyment of his own performance. Kirsten Wiig was also surprisingly really good as Barbara Minerva, or Cheetah. I didn't think she might work. I thought she might be a little too goofy, but she wasn't. She actually gave the role a really nice vulnerability as well. I mean, they made Kirsten Wiig look good. They made her look fine. I mean, where can we get some of that, you know, Hollywood makeover thing where they just remove somebody's glasses and they're immediately super hot? You know, where they're like wearing glasses and they're like super ugly and they're like, and then you remove the glasses like, hi, I am so sexy. That doesn't work in real life. I look the same. I even tried, like they gave us this like really cool makeup at the premiere that has like Wonder Woman on it. And it's pretty cool, it's Wonder Woman-y, but you know, I don't look like Gal Gadot. No, so they're lying. But overall, she did a great job as Cheetah, and I really liked her chemistry with Gal Gadot as well. The big issue with Cheetah really is sort of in the writing, which brings me to the thing that really brings this movie down for me and stops it from being great. And it's the script. The plot is cool overall, but the problem is in the actual details of how things happen. Not everything makes sense, not everything works great. There's a lot of lapses in logic, and the rules of physics do not apply. There's like a whole section in Egypt that was weird. It didn't make sense in terms of story. The action is kind of weird. The editing isn't great in it, and it really brings the whole movie down. I think that whole section should be completely removed from the movie. It was not good. There's a lot of plot conveniences in this movie, which is one of the other downsides. Things sometimes magically work out. People arrive in certain areas and run into things. Another thing that I didn't like is sometimes the movie got a little too corny. The messages in the film are beautiful, and I get what they were trying to go with. They were trying to go with this optimistic superhero classic element of inspiration and positivity, which is fine, but sometimes it felt like it went overboard for me, and I felt a little cringy, especially in the dialogue. Not all the dialogue works well. The climax of the movie was amazing, but after that, the third act of the film and the resolution was really preachy and corny, and they really went hard on the cheese. Like, let's love each other. Let's all be, humanity is good. Yes. And I understand in this day and age of divisiveness and negativity, you might want to come out with a movie that has a kind of message of unification and love. And again, that might work for some people. It didn't work for me. Maybe I'm a little too cynical, but I felt like I was being hammered on the head with all this preachiness and happiness. And I also felt like it was a little bit too much on the nose. It wasn't as subtle as I would have wanted it to be. A big question I'm sure people are going to ask is, should I go watch this in the cinema? Well, for me, watch anything in the cinema. The cinema is the best place to watch any film. It's how movies are intended to be viewed. This is my opinion. But this movie does have some cool action sequences, and it is big and breathtaking, so it does deserve the cinema viewing. Even though not all the action sequences are actually great, there are some issues with the CGI in this movie. I wasn't a big fan of the final form of Cheetah, but her armor and the CGI and the graphics work on that, the golden armor, man, that was cool. In the end, Wonder Woman 1984 was actually very enjoyable to me. Not everything about it worked for me. Overall, I had a great time. It was nice going to the cinema and seeing Wonder Woman and seeing a superhero movie that harkens back to the classic era superhero movies with their kind of themes and messages and mood and atmosphere. And I had a good time with this movie. As good of a time as I had with the first one? No, the first one was much tighter, a much better solid film, but this is a pretty decent second outing. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna give Wonder Woman 1984 a 7.5 out of 10. So, have you seen Wonder Woman 1984? Did you go to the cinema or are you gonna watch it on HBO Max? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. But don't forget to ask me what you'd like me to review for you next. To see ya.